The following program is sponsored by the Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. Regional Planning Commission meeting, May 19th, 2021.
Ice should not be forming on your inside walls.
No, that's not a good idea.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, calling the meeting to order. Jason, would you read the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the regular meeting for the Regional Planning Commission. We open with public comment. 3 minutes per person. Commission reserves the right to reduce the time and limit total allowed for public comment. Comments during discussion items may not be accepted from the general public. Commission may prohibit comment if comments are willfully disruptive to the meeting by being slanderous, offensive, inflammatory, irrational, or amounting to personal attacks or interfering with the rights of other speakers. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing on the agenda items and or attend and make comment on the items in the commission meeting. So we shall open that up to public comment.
I'll make a comment. Is there a microphone right here?
Now, just talk about.
Oh, okay. I'm Ross Smiley. I'm the new deputy DA in town. And we bought a house over here on Cannon Street. My wife Sheree and my son Brandon live there. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm here. Shane should be on Zoom or on audio right now. Shane Manville.
James Beecher. Is Shane on it or is James?
It's Shane.
I'm on.
Okay, I spoke with him briefly on the phone about attending today, but obviously he's doing his job today. But hopefully in the near future, I'll come and be able to assist. So I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity and thank you for, it's a great community so far and it's been very nice to me. So I thought I'd take a minute and introduce myself.
Thank you.
More public comments?
Lori,
No, I don't have a public comment.
are you sure?
I'm positive.
I don't want to interrupt.
No,
Thank
by
you.
all means.
Mr. Chairman, I brought this concern to you before and I'm repeating it now. The Regional Planning Commission, the County Commission, the Ely City Council today did not address the White Pine County or Ely City code violations by members of the Planning Commission, the White Pine County Commission, as well as some of the Ely City Council members. They all need to comply with city and county codes that they have formulated and adopted or resigned. White Pine County and the city of Ely cannot selectively enforce the law under cover of law. You must stop the discrimination. I'm providing you a letter, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like you to respond to that. I would like a list of those individuals that may have complied in rectifying their violations. And if you would provide me the list in writing, if not, provide me the basis for your refusal. Mr. Chairman, recently I received a condition of notice from the city of Ely in regards to a piece of property that I have on 692 Parker in regards to a vehicle and what is considered a charged building when in fact it's just weathered wood. I called the building inspector for clarification. I'll do what's needed. The vehicle is gone. belonged to a friend of mine who has cancer, but the vehicle's been removed. In regards to charring of vehicles, I find it interesting that people keep coming after me. When this particular structure was on fire a year or two ago, and no notification, there's no fencing, my property is fenced. We gotta stop the selective enforcement, Mr. Chairman. I also got a second notice in regards to the property I have at 710 Avenue G, which is zoned commercial. It's no different than any others. I have a couple of old vehicles on there that I plan on restoring at some point in time. There is some charring on the building. My trouble is finding the contractor who will come around and help me. If not, again, we have rules and regulations. I feel like I'm being picked on, and that needs to stop. I took pictures of other facilities around the community. No fencing, broken windows, attractive nuisance, flying tin, partial fencing on one end, nothing on the other, vehicles unlicensed, RVs, and you worried about old George? That's got to stop. Here's another picture in the same area, vehicles, unlicensed, on a boat, attractive nuisance, near playground, kids, no fencing. Another picture of a warehouse on Avenue C, flying tin, vehicles, unlicensed, and you're worried about George. Here's another building, flying tin, no fencing, you need to address that. Here's a lot
Time, George.
Gonna wrap it up.
that you have commercial use in a residential area.
Time's
It's
up.
gotta stop. You gotta address those issues, Mr. Chairman. I don't know how many times I gotta come before you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Going into item A. Public hearing for conditional special use permit application. Applicants Don and Vaughn Ager desire to live in their RV on their 5-acre parcel prior to and during the construction of their new home. Address of the property is 9820 North State Road 892, Strawberry Road, Township 19 North, Range 55 East, Section 16, in White Pine County, Nevada. APN is 009-100-02.
Yeah, that'd be me, I'm Vaughn. That's my wife, Dawn. Excuse me. Yeah, our property was about 5 acres in 2019, just outside of Newark Valley, for 25 miles from Eureka and 72 from here, so we're pretty much out in the middle of nowhere. We started, we're actually raising big footers right now. We've been working closely with Jennifer and Brad through this whole process, and we're actually raising big footers. But if anybody's been to the hardware store lately, you can kind of understand why we're not building right now. We're not spending $8 for a twisted piece of 2x4 and plywood for $100. So we're gonna hold off on building a house, but we would like to continue doing things. We can do some landscaping, we can do some fencing, and we'd like to just live out there while we do it. And then once the price goes down, we'll start digging footers and take off. I did do some research on it though, and basically what we're running into is a supply and demand problem. Because of COVID, they shut down the sawmills and lumber mills and steel mills, and construction kept going. And then people that got sent home had time to build things, so the DIY community, they tore into Home Depot supply like crazy. So that's why we're facing what we face. And they said soon as, the good news is the steel mills and lumber mills are going, so they say as soon as the supply and demand level out, prices will go back down. So that's what we're waiting for. When that's gonna happen, I don't know. But in the meantime, I'd like to get my fence, because we live in an open range area, and we gotta fence the cows out. And I'd like to get the fence done. And that's my crew right there, so that's gonna be me. So, so we've done everything. I got pictures of what we've done so far. You guys are in, but we put all the utilities in and septic and everything, so it's.
That was my only question, looking at the map, I didn't see septic, says you got it, that's fine.
Yep, I even got my,
Any other questions?
Yeah, well, we'll hold off till the next.
I even got my
Item B.
permit occupancy from the health department on this.
Okay.
See if there's any other public comment.
Any other public comment on this?
One is on.
George?
You might have to.
Okay, for a second.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would like to speak in favor of this grant application, or this permit application. However, I don't think the gentleman should have to pay the $440. Again, we're selectively enforcing the law. As I travel around the community, we have a like situation here in town. I haven't missed any meetings, there's been no application, there's been no fee paid that I know of. Here's a second location in town, no application, no fees.
George, that's not something we should be discussing right now.
No, I'm just saying.
I get what your point is.
Okay,
But
you're not collecting from one.
I
you
get what your
shouldn't
point
collect
is,
from
but that's
okay.
not relevant to
Here's the
this.
third-
It's not relevant to his,
And here's the
that's not
fourth.
relevant to his property.
They're all the same situation. They're putting RVs there, they're working on a home or a structure. You can't
That's-
selectively enforce the law.
That's
I
enough.
just wanted to note it. You gotta stop the selective enforcement.
Okay. We go to A, B, discussion for possible action. Are there any more public comments, by the way? Okay, we're closing public comments. Go to discussion for possible action, approval of application for conditional special use permit. Applicant Don Ager, desire to live in their RV on their 5-acre parcel prior to and during the construction of their new home. Address the property, 20 North State Road, 89-2, Strawberry Road, Township 19 North, Range 55 East, Section 16, in White Pine County, Nevada, APN 009-100-02. Okay, we're opening up that for discussion.
Mr. I've just got a couple of questions. Yeah, if I can come up.
Okay.
So, you have the septic system in, is that correct? The well's been dug, all that stuff, okay? And, is there, perfect. Yeah, I'm familiar with the area up there, it's beautiful. And the septic system, has it been inspected and everything?
This is the occupancy permit, right? I've got the inspection sheet too, if you wanna see it.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to double check to make sure that that was good before that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. If you guys wanna look at the pictures, you're welcome.
The other question is that you're, just to be clear, you're not living on it as of right now, okay? And according to, what is it, 13-16-170, trailer use on private property, that is allowed up to a year then, that's what I understand.
Yes, and that's what we discussed.
Right, during construction.
And there can be extensions, or at least there used to be, it's been a while.
That was my
since I read
second
the
question,
rules.
that there was
Yeah,
allowed extensions
there has
on
been
there.
that.
So at that point, then they would have to come back and reapply for an extension on that.
Right.
Okay, all right, that was my question. No, I have no other questions, I completely understand your dilemma.
And it'd be, rather than just give our rent, we could actually put that into the property right
That's
now.
very
and
common.
Continue our improvement.
RV,
Especially during construction and under the conditions that we've got right now with, supply, demand, and price of lumber. I mean, we've all been hit by that,
Yeah.
doing the same thing.
It's rough, it's rough.
I don't blame you.
We actually, I met with Brad when Brad was, before he left, just here in January. And, we was actually getting ready to pull the trigger, and we got our first price for the package just before the holidays. And then actually, then the same like I said, we're ready to dig further. I got my crawl space all laid out, the whole 9 yards, we're ready to go. We just not gonna do it.
I don't have any more questions.
No.
Anything, I will go ahead and,
I just had a, maybe the first time I agree with George, it seems a little steep of a fee.
It's a
Just-
conditional special use because the fact, the county code that Jason was referring to from 13, that 1 year goes from the time that plans are submitted to us. We would actually have to have plans in our office to show that he is in the construction phase,
Okay.
which we're not quite to that point yet. So that's why this is required and is
It's a special condition.
right, and that's the price of it.
All right.
And it's the mail outs too, and publications.
Well, I'll go ahead and move to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay. Leah's moved to approve, and Jason has seconded. Now let's put it up to a vote. All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Passes unanimously.
All right, sir. What you doing?
Thank you very
We
much.
don't need to do anything else at this point.
No, we're good.
I'm glad you moved out there now.
Keep us posted, I
Yeah.
wanna know what your status is.
Oh, we will. We
Let us
will,
know
yes.
when you're able to actually start doing it.
Oh, we definitely will, because she's
Yeah,
gonna get the
yeah, she'll
paperwork.
have to, you know.
Yeah, you'll be
She's gonna
trouble.
get the paperwork first anyway.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much.
Congratulations, Mom.
Okay. On to public hearing for an application for reclassification of zoning on property. Applicant Carl M. Eldridge. Requesting the property be changed from C2 General Commercial District to R250 Residential District. Property and address and/or general location 1425 Avenue G, Ely, Nevada. West of 1/2 of Lot 22, all of lots 23 and 24, Block 16 of the Park Addition subdivision. APN is 002-078-08. Okay, public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to speak in favor of this request. The gentleman was forced into going commercial initially when there was no need, and now he's going back. He's out $1,500, and that needs to stop. We need to start treating our community members a lot better than that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comment? We'll close public comment and then go to item B, discussion for possible action. Approval of an application for reclassification of zoning of property. Applicant Carl M. Eldridge is requesting the property be changed from C2 General Commercial District to R250 Residential District. Property address and/or general location is 1425 Avenue G, North Nevada, west 1/2 of Lot 22 and all of lots 23 and 24, Block 16 of the Park Addition subdivision. APN 002-078-08. Any discussion on that?
Well, I just have one comment to make, and that is I've got the assessor's webpage pulled up, and it's shown as being residential and not commercial.
Is that the use code?
Yes,
That's not, can't go by that.
I know, and it's another reason to think we should coordinate those issues in our,
Yeah.
Start making a list.
I don't have
It's quite a big one.
no.
It's okay.
I just wanted to share that the use code
This,
shows.
from what I understand, this was zoned as R250 before, right? And then
Yeah.
it was commercially zoned.
Yeah.
We're just going back to what it was originally zoned as.
Yeah, I had some unforeseen things come up right after we rezoned it. I couldn't build on it. I was gonna put a shop on there for my business, and it turned out that I couldn't, I didn't have the money right then to do it.
Right.
So I waited, and then the COVID thing hit. We couldn't get even a contractor in to do it. So now we've got somebody that'll do it, but I don't wanna go with a commercial building anymore. I want to go with a shop for my own use and a residence center. I recently moved out of town. I'm living at the ranch now, and it's a place for me to come in and to stay when I come to town.
Okay.
Well, COVID has affected a lot of things. I think that's a
What's
very,
that?
very valid reason. COVID has affected a lot
It
of
is.
plans for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have any other issues with this at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I drove by there this afternoon and I could see how you were in kind of transition.
Yeah, we got it all ready for the other building, but
Yeah,
I had to go in, if I wanted it back to residential, I had to go in and remark because of the setbacks and stuff for residential, so.
right.
In fact, we had, the guy from Cleary is gonna build it, and he was here today, and we checked it all out, so it's a go if I can get this rezoned and a building permit going, so.
Okay, has there been any consideration of a special use to reside on the commercial property instead of having to change it over again, or has that been
I was told before that in a commercial building, you couldn't have living quarters. But if I put a building up there in a residential area, I had to have a residence in it. So that's what I'm trying to do now is, being things have happened in the last 5 years, completely different what I wanted. Maybe next year will be different again, but if I can get the place built, then
Yeah.
we have a shop that we can work in and also a residence I can stay in, so.
Yeah,
Just a quick question also. Do you have plans to maybe pursue the commercial business later when things?
No.
Okay.
No, most of my business is out of town. I was gonna plan on putting some of my business in that shop, but since then, I decided that
So it's more of a permanent?
it's too close to my boy lives across the street, and he moved into the house I moved out of when I moved in the county, so, all of our businesses with the mines and out of town, so we don't plan on doing anything out of this, retail out of the store, out of the shop.
Okay. Well, I don't have any other questions.
No, I don't either. Seems pretty
I'll move to
straightforward.
approve if nobody else has any
I'll
questions.
second it.
Okay, Fred votes to approve and Carol seconds. And I'll put that up for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
I appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Okay, go on to public hearing for conditional special use permit variance applications. Applicant YD Networks LLC is proposing to install a new wireless communication facility to include a 45-foot telecommunication tower. An application for variance will also be considered due to the height of the tower. Property address and or general location is 11 Main Street, Ruth, Nevada, Township 16 North, Range 62 East. Assessor's parcel is 003-031-06. Public hearing on that?
Hi, Jeff.
I'm Jeff, I'm with 5G Networks. We're hoping to be able to build on the property that I purchased last year in Ruth. The tower site, and then we have a small prefabricated building that would go next to that with a interior perimeter fence and an external perimeter fence. And then we could provide wireless internet services to the community of Ruth.
Jeff, would you speak up a little bit louder, please, so I can speak a little bit up?
So,
That's cool to see you expanding that way.
yeah,
as
we're
well.
trying, we recently leased a building on a mountain that has line of sight to that facility. If not, then there's also fiber available to tie into that facility also.
Okay.
And this,
No, well, not till we go into discussion. Any more public comment at the moment? You want close the public comment, we will go on to discussion of possible action. Approval of an application for conditional special use permit, and also a variance application. Applicant is 5T Networks LLC, proposing to install a new wireless communication facility to include 45-foot telecommunications tower. Application for a variance will also be considered due to the height of the tower. Property address and our general location is 11 Main Street, Ruth, Nevada, Township 16 North, Range 62 East. Assessor's parcel is 003-031-06. Okay, open for discussion now.
I'm kind of curious as to where this tower is going to be on your property.
It should be right on.
I think there's a map on the camera that shows the exact location.
Oh, I just found it. Okay, so it's a 45-foot tower,
45-foot room tower,
and,
45 feet is the maximum height for it to be freestanding.
okay,
So apparently variance is for 10 feet over what's allowed is 35 foot, right?
Is that the allowed?
right.
We can,
What I understand is that you're allowed 35 foot, but you're asking for variance to 45 feet. Of an extra
we
10
can build
feet.
it to the maximum for that, to have the best line of sight to the residents' homes for service.
I don't see any problem with it. The only, someone had mentioned, just it being, as you're pulling into town, that it might be too visible. And, from what I understand, in McGill, they did the same thing, but they had it more concealed. There's different ways to conceal it, I guess.
Not sure
I
how
don't know
you
much
can
about
see
that,
it.
but I just thought
Yeah,
it'd be nice.
they're kind of hard to conceal.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing around it, there's no trees, it's the first lot on the right as you pull into town, so
And,
I don't know how you would conceal.
Is the location of the property more toward the back of Ruth?
It's, no,
No.
it's,
Is it, or is it
so
right?
as you turn left into Ruth, it's the first vacant lot on the
Oh,
right.
okay,
on the right.
okay.
Yeah, it's right on
I
there.
know where you are.
Oh, that way, okay.
It's across from a park that doesn't have anything in it.
Yeah,
It's next to another large vacant lot that has nothing in it.
Even if it was shorter, it'd be very visible.
Yes, and realizing that other towers have been built in this community that people have opposed to, I don't find this to be an interference with anything in Route, because I'm aware of the lot where it's at and what's going on. I think it'll benefit the community because they're kind of isolated and there's a need for their internet
yeah,
service.
you're that.
And they're getting more isolated, those dumps that they're doing are getting bigger and bigger.
My only concern with this
Move it out again.
whole thing was that the 45 feet, that you had a fall area as a safety
That's what's
zone,
in
and
there.
obviously that has been addressed here for
I looked at
safety,
that
in
one.
case there wind damage or anything else,
Right.
that reduces that liability, for
Mhm.
that, because these things can happen. But that was really my only question.
Yeah, we have the 50-foot measurements from
Yeah.
the property lines.
Right.
Yeah, you're running 50 foot by 50
On
foot.
the west side of the property is the big power transmission lines, so if something did happen, it wouldn't disrupt that.
Alright. And I suspect you probably had a lot of calls from people on Ruth wanting the
Yes.
service, yes. Okay. I don't have any other questions at this time.
I don't either, I think it's gonna be a big help for the city of Ruth. So, okay, any other comment, discussion? Do I hear a proposal?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second it.
Leah moves to approve, Jason seconds. Let's put this up to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Now, go on to item B. Discussion only regarding building and zoning codes within the city of Ely and by Pine County. Any discussion there, or are we?
think Brad had just mentioned that still need to work on, get everything ironed out between the.
We need to talk with the inspector and codes and determine what code changes need to be made
Between use and zone.
in between use and zone, so this works out correctly, because the discussion has also brought up the concerns about a tiny home being something that's wheeled in as a mobile home and just left. And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for building codes that would allow a home structure to be built that's smaller than required by our codes now.
Right.
So that's where I'm hoping this will goodly start going, like we get more information. So that's all I have for
Are
this.
there any prospective builders that are looking to do this, or developers?
I have been in contact with a construction company out of Las Vegas. They're gonna be doing a lot of home building for the mines in Eureka County. And they do concrete homes. They prefab the concrete walls, set them on a foundation, then they can do all the interior plumbing, wiring. And they can build almost any size, from tiny homes to, anybody here wants a 7,000 square foot mansion, they can do that too.
Only if the house cleaning crew comes in.
Comes up with it, yeah. But that, we're just in a discussion phase
Mhm.
about this, because I mentioned that the codes would have to be addressed. They wanted to build, they're talking about bringing a factory up here to build the homes, which would include Eureka County and ours, which would be another economic improvement, I think. But that lot of, I'm sitting on this commission knowing there's a lot of twists and turns and little nuances that have to be addressed.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna leave it at that. There's a possibility of a company coming to do stuff. They could do it out of Vegas, they'd have to ship the parts in. But I also I don't wanna tie myself to one company. If other people could come in and do it.
These are precast concrete.
Concrete walls, yeah.
Anybody looking into a 3D printed concrete structures?
I don't know, and theirs might be very similar to that. I don't know. I'm just in just the beginning stages
Okay.
of contacting them and doing the research that I provided on tiny homes, tiny home codes, what classifies as a tiny home, what code variants are available in other states. And there are quite a few states that have adjusted their codes to allow tiny homes to be built. I know they've done some of it in Washoe County. They have some tiny home communities in Reno. But I haven't seen those codes yet. Gotta keep looking for that stuff.
Yeah, if you find, let us know.
I will. So that's the only discussion I have on it right now.
Okay. Okay, then anything else? We'll close that and we'll go on to item C, approval of minutes. Discussion of possible action, approval of minutes from Regional Planning Commission held April 21st, 2021.
Mrs. Spellchecker,
They go to the eagle eye.
you're up.
Actually, okay. Page 2, third line up on section B, from the bottom of section B. I read that through and it didn't quite compute, but then could just be me. It says Jason Bath stated the only questions he had were already answered. Last time we went through this same exact property as far as a power line, right of way, drainage and such. And I looked at it, it makes more sense today than it did last night at 10 o'clock. So it's
Probably
making
makes more sense in the minutes than it did coming out of my mouth.
Well, that's a possibility.
I'll make a note further up on that page too. April 16th, 2021, George went on the utility department to get permits that would allow him to rent 2 RVs. Now,
Does he want 2? I don't
is that
know.
2 or 2?
Uh-huh. Good question. He's not listening.
That's how it was said
Okay.
in the recording.
Mhm.
Maybe his intent has been. to RV and motorhome
To-
owners who are needing
Oh,
lots.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right,
that's,
that
yeah.
makes sense.
That's,
Okay. Okay, I didn't see any others. Then in that case, I'll make a motion to approve.
Sorry.
You can't make the, you don't make the motion.
Somebody make a motion.
I will make the motion.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
All right.
There is one more that I had a question on, and I just found it. We're talking about a developer that's come up from
What page is that?
Vegas, it's on page 4, and it's about a little over halfway down the first paragraph.
Okay.
And it says, he's trying to bring out developers up from Vegas that do build stick-built homes that can be modified from any size, from a tiny home up to a 12-plex. And, to do stick-built homes,
to build stick-built homes.
Yeah, that
Stick-built
makes
is,
sense.
like a.
yeah, could we do a construct stick-built home?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it just, I've spent too many years in school, I guess.
Again, that's how it was on the
And
record.
there is one place where
Okay.
you don't have a space between 2021 and number 2.
Where-
It's an INE on the second
Oh,
line.
got it.
Other than that, I'll shut up.
Okay.
Another
Anything
first.
else?
You don't know what you do with that one, honestly.
Yes, you
I'll
do.
move to approve.
I'll second.
Leah approves, Ed seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. So, next, approval of minutes from Regional Planning Commission meeting held April 28th, 2021. And
Did you find something?
I don't know anything.
Me neither.
Anyone else?
Looks good to me.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Carl makes a
I'll
motion to
second
approve.
that.
Jason seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Okay, we move on to public comment. Hearing devoted to comments of general public. If any discussion of those comments, no action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on the agenda as an item upon which action can be taken. NRS 2241-020 2C3. Public comment is now open.
For the record, Lori Carson. I wanted to address Leah. I've had individual from, actually 2 individuals, they're partners in Baker that were interested in having tiny homes instead of having a motel. And I'm assuming that they were talking something similar to like the little bungalows or cabins that's like out at the windmill, that type of stuff. But we didn't have anything here locally in regards to the codes to be able to do that. And then I also have another individual from McGill that would like to do something similar. So I'm tickled to see that there's the beginning of conversation. I'm hoping that, sooner better than later, that things can start. And we probably need to include the district attorney and the building inspector and get that conversation going. I think it's really important so far as an economic value to our community. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
There are a few little homes, I guess you call them little homes, up on the summit going over to Baker. If you look close back in the trees, you'll see some of those little log homes that are, cabins for people or what, but there's, I counted 4 of them as I came through just a short while ago, so.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to try to excuse myself right now. I have another thing to go to. My son's award ceremony is starting here just shortly.
And you
so
wanted
I
me to
think
do
we're
that.
okay if I leave then, is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Goodbye, Jason.
I will be hung from the highest.
Mr. Chairman, I'm disappointed once more, no sound system. Some of you people can hear well, and others you can't hear. Local meeting law is specific, and you need to comply. How many times have I got to tell you that? Also on your item in regards to B, regarding building and zoning code within the city, you need to be specific. I thought you were gonna be talking about lots, not tiny homes or anything else. You need to correct that. If you're gonna talk about tiny homes, they gotta be listed as tiny homes. There was nothing in the packet for any of the members of the public to have an idea what you're talking about.
Can I?
Mr. Chairman, I have a letter that I received back in May 13, 2019, in regards to property supposedly owned by my brother in regards to recreation vehicles, 685, 691 Ogden. The attorney at that time was Chuck Hodges. That property is not owned by my brother or myself or any of my family. Yet, the city disregards RVs throughout the city. We have trailer parks that allowed RVs and others are not. That needs to stop. I want to remind you, I'm the only one that's gotten 2 citations for having RVs on their property. You gotta stop the discrimination. At some point, someone's gonna hit the brick wall, and it isn't gonna be me. You need to stop the discrimination. You need to start looking at what you're doing, what you've got going on, and you're not doing that. That's malfeasance and misfeasance, and I believe non-feasance. Mr. Chairman, on August 16, 2006, I received a notice from former clerk Jim Allworth, now councilman, in regards to animals within the city. Chapter 3, Animal Control, Article A, Livestock and Fowl, Section 5-3A-1, keeping the regulating. Yet, we have horses in the community. We have other animals in the community. I've seen sheep. And you worry about old George? Either you have rules and regulations or you don't. You need to clarify that. Not clarify it. Get rid of it, one way or the other. You want to change the law, that's fine. Mr. Allworth had a home occupation here on Avenue I. I've yet to see any application. Then he moved down to the county. Again, no application. He paid his fees. Former city clerk, now councilman. Here we have a situation where a county commissioner is advertising his business, yet there's no DA access. He's blocking it with a sign. Again, you have rules and regulations. ADA is federal. I've brought to your attention RVs throughout the community, yet they still are there. And I want a list of those that you've cited.
3 minutes is up, thank you.
I need some answers, Mr. Chairman. Don't worry about my
3
3
minutes
minutes.
is up, thank you. Okay, we have public comment. Introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry, Lee Walker, building official.
Lee.
As for the talk with the tiny homes, that terminology and what goes with that is they are classified as an RV. So, and the only place in our county and the city, the only place that you can put an RV is zoned as you can only put it on an RV park. That's it. So if you want to correlate with anything with me in my office, just set up a time and we can talk about anything.
Thank you.
Proper terminology would probably be best if you're gonna build a stick-built home, be more or less like a small home. And those are doable,
Okay.
okay?
Right, that's
So it's
the point.
either changing the wording or maybe foregoing
Yes,
the,
yes.
code.
So tiny homes, they're really, there's a stamp on them first stamps on them is called RV. Yeah, that's what they're classified as. I just wanna get that out there, get that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I
So,
will change my
And you
word.
cannot park an RV anywhere besides on an RV park. Okay?
Would it be easier to change the wording from tiny home to something
Small.
else
The
versus
small
trying to?
homes, I mean,
Small homes.
something other than that terminology.
Okay.
Because a lot of people use it and they think that you can just, it's a tiny home, you can put it on a residential lot, you can't.
Okay.
Zoning
We'll
doesn't
get
permit
back to
it.
you, we'll talk.
Zoning does not permit it, and I will gladly speak with anybody that wants to come in to the office and talk with me and Jeff.
The terminology is the key.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, that'll give me better direction to do my research and understand where you're coming from on the codes and how
Thank
to
you
go.
for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Lee.
Yeah, if anybody comes up with a really good name for what used to become a tiny home and is no more as of right now.
All right.
Is small homes
Let us
just
know.
a tiny home?
Itsy bitsy.
Yeah, I was thinking teeny tiny.
There you go.
Yeah, but then,
Teeny.
Okay, any other public comment? Okay, I shall entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second.
Okay, Fred moves to adjourn, seconded by Carol. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
If they set those on a regular foundation, it's got a cost.
Where it's gets conflicted, even though it's on wheels and like, it's still classified as an
Trees, 35.
And maybe.
And another guy said he could,
Just wanna make sure.
Yeah, I don't have this on the same.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chachis reporting.